English translation. 315th contact. Sunday, 18th November 2001, 09:55 hours.
Oh, hello, this is a surprise. Be greeted and welcome. You, Quetzal, I really did not expect.
It was time for me to monitor the meditation center. I am therefore very happy to be able to visit you. Thanks for your welcome. I would like to add my voice to that.
Thrilling, really. It pleases me greatly to see you both. And is everything okay at the center?
In relation to the site, etc. itself, yes. However, what I unfortunately had to find out regarding the storage of the newer group members does not please me. This is because various group members have not yet carried out their storage, although this has been overdue for years. This storage has to be done very urgently in the next 6 months, and in the future they have to be taken care of, because I have arranged it in the meditation center, so that the storing will be done at the latest 6 months after the final admission into the core group. If this is not taken into account, the registration will automatically expire, making further meditations in the meditation center pointless. I made this facility because I had to recognize that various group members obviously do not meet the decisive responsibility to fulfill their duties regarding meditation to the full extent. A fact which unfortunately also applies to various other duties, as I had to find out from the monitoring records. Thus, for example, the lie is also indulged in that certain work assignments could not be carried out for flimsy reasons, because there is an inability, etc. to do so, or a certain impairment of the ability to be able to work in certain areas, as is the case with also unjustified excuses that there should be a private life, etc. cannot be accepted either, because in fact the unworthiness of this statement lies only in a laziness for work, as I had to discover. But this is extremely unfair to the committed and hard-working group members, and has a demoralizing effect on them. The same applies to excuses in such a manner that one no longer sees the need to commit oneself more, because not everything is going as it should. And it is precisely those who seek and cultivate excuses of this kind that should reflect thoroughly on reality and face the fact that changes for the better are usually extremely lengthy and cannot be expected overnight. All forms of change take time, which can last weeks and months as well as years and even decades. And those who think in the wrong form with regard to rapid changes should also be aware that they are not perfect either, and so are faulty, and are therefore also subject to wrongdoings and the like, which they must correct and learn from. To think oneself better and smarter than others, and thus to set oneself above others, is completely wrong and testifies to a regrettable self-righteousness and even self-importance. And just such attitudes should have been corrected and balanced in the area of group members long ago. But since this is unfortunately quite obviously not yet the case with various group members, there are also again and again quarrels, condemnations and insults, etc., which are just as unworthy of a group member as the evil naughtiness of wanting to achieve a change in the behavior and the thinking, feeling and actions of fellow humans by coercion, and this moreover in a short time, although such changes can take years or even decades. This refers to things that really cannot be classified in minutes or hours of change.
I would also like to raise my voice on this issue, and I am referring to Andreas, who is the group president. Usually yesterday evening the gathering of everyone was observed, and of course everything that was spoken was followed. As usual, both reasonable and unreasonable things were said, along with excuses which, in my opinion, were extremely regrettable and not in keeping with reality, but were in a form which is not truthful and, moreover, dishonest. This does not mean, however, that personal freedom and private life should or should not be affected if I put my words in a context with Quetzal's statements. This is not the case either through his or my words, because in fact personal freedom should and must be preserved, as well as the private life. I think that is obvious. But what some members of the group call personal freedom and private life is more than an attitude translated into reality, which has nothing to do with private life and personal freedom, and therefore cannot be associated with it. This is because each member of the group has made a commitment, and a voluntary one, to certain obligations of the group community and to the mission. But once a commitment is made, it is also a promise that cannot simply be broken and trampled on. But this promise to the group community, whose work, obligations, mission, and fulfillment in every respect also includes rationality and reason-based thinking and acting, and consequently all things must be considered according to the rationality and correctness in order to draw the right conclusions, to then express them correctly, and to then act accordingly. But what Andreas did by his ill-considered talking, which I must place in the lower realm of the rationality and the understanding of things, had no benefit but only brought harm, because unfortunately contradictions have arisen in some group members as a result, and especially from a group member who serves as president of the group community. More common sense, as well as a clear rethinking of the issues, and accordingly also a mission-related speaking and clarification of things should be expected. But the strange views and statements expressed by Andreas are not compatible with his office, nor with the rules of the order of duties, nor with the mission's fulfillment of obligations. He should know, as Quetzal has also explained in general terms, that he too is not infallible and therefore just as imperfect as all of us human beings are, thus also us of the Pleiaren. Consequently, and this must finally be made clear to him, he too is committing errors, also with regard to his purely personal and private, but also with regard to his missionary and group attitude. Also with regard to his long-cherished thoughts, which I have been observing again and again from the monitoring records for some time now, he does not know how to deal with the reality of the group and just as little with the various behaviors of individual group members, nor does not know how to deal with group decisions, which can only be enforced with great difficulty and whose realization often takes a very long time. I often make observations because he does not have his feet firmly on the ground in this respect, and somehow seems out of place and even engages in an unhealthy form of aberrant thinking because he is not realistic about the reality of the aforementioned things. With regard to the group resolutions and the things that require fulfillment or change, he must finally realize, rationally and in a reason-based manner, that the implementation and transformation of many of these matters may take years or decades. This was also the case with our ancestors in earlier times. A process of change takes many weeks, months, years, and decades. Many things even take centuries, millennia, and even hundreds of thousands or millions of years. Because the human being is not a computer that can be simply programmed and then functions according to what has been programmatically entered into it. The human being is an independent individual, his or her own personality with their own ideas, thoughts, feelings, abilities, and possibilities, as well as their own character and all that makes them a human being. This means, however, that they cannot simply be programmed, but that they have to become very laboriously redolent with rationality and understanding, and just as effortfully learn and change. But all this takes up a great deal of time. Not only days, weeks, months, decades, centuries, and millennia, but millions of years, during which the reincarnations of the spirit form and the overall consciousness block take place. Old personalities pass away, new ones arise and live, whereby unstoppable learning and progress are made. But this is precisely the reason why it is necessary to unceasingly learn that proclaimers and wise ones must teach humans inexorably throughout all times that no human is without error, and that, by this alone, he or she must put themselves on an equal footing with all other humans and go to the same level, so as not to rise above the others and their fallibility, and to believe that they have progressed better, smarter, more intelligently, and higher than the others. Andreas should really be conscious that this is the true reality of the life of a human being, and accordingly he should be reasonable, just, and indulgent toward all fallible members of the group and toward humans in general. If he has something to say or think about that should or must be changed or improved, and that is not immediately possible and may take many months, years, or decades, such as personal concerns of human beings as well as group matters and group resolutions, etc., then he should not lose courage and also not lose patience in advance, as is unfortunately the case with him. As a result, he loses his own ability to assert himself against himself, and this in the sense that he senselessly wastes his strength with regard to his own assertion of the rationality, the understanding, the courage, and the patience, in order to give his fellow humans the time necessary for them to fit in with certain things or to change for the better. This is his actual purpose in life, which he has to accomplish, but which he has so far still not fulfilled. He also has a lot to learn with regard to himself, because, as explained, he is not flawless either, and so he must put himself on the same level as all other human beings.
Whew. Both of your speeches in the human ear.
It is to be hoped that our words will be received and understood in the right wise.
They are really not to be misunderstood.
However, human beings who are self-centered and self-righteous could create a misunderstanding out of this.
I would feel sorry for them. But tell me, Ketzel, my friend, how often do you monitor the center?
I only do it sporadically.
And you come all the way over here. Nice. Thanks for that.
My way led me here anyway because I am spending my holidays here until the end of the month, together with my whole family, who have all already wandered on the grounds of the center.
You really mean your whole family, all your wives and children?
That is of correctness.
Splendid. Beautiful and dear greetings to them.
They also gave me greetings for you that I am supposed to give you.
Maybe I will run into a family member or two somewhere on the center grounds.
There might be a chance for that. But then this will only be unofficial.
Also good. I am looking forward to it now.
But now we should turn our attention to the correction work.
You two still have work together?
Yes. Ta and I are correcting the new contact report book together. If he is not there, Anjana or Florina take over this task. But until the end of the month, Ta is still here, also on vacation, as he said. And so we both work together.
I knew that. But I did not know that you were also doing work together today.
I actually did not mention that when we got here.
Then I will say goodbye now. Goodbye, my friend. I will surely visit you again before I have to go back.
Take care, my friend. Bye, Ketzel. So then, my friend Ptah, let us get into the correctional work. So we have that too. Look here, one more question. Inja asks if we would publish her website address in the WZ. What do you think? Should we do that privately at all?
No, you should not do that. You should only publish addresses of FIGU groups, which you should also monitor and which are created and maintained according to your given rules. Private addresses should remain private and should be treated as such, but in these private pages a reference to the FIGU website cannot be denied.
Understood.
What I would like to say about the strange and unseemly view that Andreas expressed yesterday evening is that it is unworthy of a president, of the mission and its fulfillment obligation. I would also like to suggest to him that he should think carefully about Quetzal's and my words and statements, and realize that he too, as president of FIGU and all the members of the group, is in need of learning, as is the case with any person who has such or any other office. He may always consider that I, too, as an Ishwish, am still in need of learning for the rest of my life, as are you, my dear friend, even though we are so much more knowledgeable and wise than humans in general. He should also be aware that he, just like you and I, cannot simply escape from his duty and leave his office, as that has been taking root in his senses for some time. If he wants to fulfill his duty and give his life a real dignity, then he has to decide thoroughly what the fulfillment of obligation really means. So I think that everything should be clear.
Your words are good, as are Quetzal's. Everything has to be said over and over again, because only through many repetitions can one really learn. I too had to learn in this form.
What I also have to say on my part. Every human being learns only through repetition, which very often has to take place over years and decades. This has to be taken into account, but it also requires the necessary understanding, both from the learner and the teacher. But you know that as well as I do. And it is necessary that this is understood by every member of the group.
Of course.
Then I will leave you now. It is already 12 HRs. The time has passed quickly.
It sure has. See you next time, dear friend.
Goodbye. I should also send you greetings from my daughters Simyase and Pleja.
Thanks. Give back the greetings and also bring good wishes. See you soon. Take care, Salami.